Hello everybody, it is Catherine here from Continue the Magic, and this is your news update for the week of June 1st. And this is a big one for our Disney classic attraction lovers, because this is going to be all about the updates that they just announced to the Carousel of Progress. So there's a lot going to be changed in this, so let's dig right into it. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. It really helps me out at the channel, and it makes sure that you never miss a news update or a ride-through video. So with that, let's dig right into the updates for the Carousel of Progress. Now, we did know that a change was coming. They announced a while ago that they were going to be bringing a Walt Animatronic into the Carousel of Progress. So they've already done this at Disneyland, where they had the great moments with Mr. Lincoln. They brought a Walt Disney Animatronic in there. They are going to be doing a different version in Disney World. And so we knew that the kind of first scene of the Carousel of Progress was going to be updated. And with that, there was assumptions that likely the ending scene, that future scene that was written in the 90s and clearly outdated, that would get changed up as well. But that's only a fraction of what they're doing. They're going to be updating every scene across the board. So this is not the first time that they've done changes to the Carousel of Progress. It's not like we have the original version still. Obviously, they made changes when they first moved it to Magic Kingdom. When they opened it there, they had a sponsorship with GE. The most notable change at that time was that the actual song, the title song, changed. So they got rid of "There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow" and replaced it with "Now is the Time." Both great songs, but the idea there was that GE didn't want people waiting until tomorrow to be purchasing their appliances. They wanted to get them excited about doing things today, so that kind of now is the time to buy your new appliance. That was kind of the idea behind that. So they also then did another update as part of the new Tomorrowland in 1994. So this one brought the "There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow" back, but it also did an update to all of the voices as well as the ending scene. So we're already looking at, we haven't had the original voices in quite a while. The original ending scene took place in the 80s and like a 1980s living room. When they updated it in 94, they wanted to go with a more, what they thought was futuristic, which was at the time, but now we're looking at, being able to talk to your oven, VR, all of these things are standard in our society now. That's not kind of groundbreaking next level stuff. Even looking at the TV that they use in there, obviously crazy out of date. So this has been due for a final scene update for a while, so that was not surprising. So again, we've already had the new updated scene, we got the new voice cast at the time, so a lot of changes there, but this is the biggest change they've ever done, because they are literally going to be changing every single scene. So let's go through this scene by scene and talk about what we're going to be getting. So the first one is obviously our opening scene. Previously, this was just a voiceover and the curtains would kind of rise up and you would see the emblem of the Carousel of Progress. You'd see the logo there. So this is going to be replaced with a full animatronic scene with Walt Disney, and it's going to be based around Disneyland Goes to the World's Fair. So you're going to see a tiki bird in there with him, you're going to see the Tower of the Four Winds, so all of those kind of references of that time period, you're going to be seeing that in that new animatronic space with Walt Disney. Now, there's been a lot of feedback on the animatronic that opened in Disneyland, that the look of the face is not great. Hopefully they can make some improvements to this before they pop it into Disney World. Now that they've gotten that feedback, they've seen it working in real time, how it manages with the constant use over the days, and they can make the improvements and changes there. So the next scene, we're going to pop over to the 1960s, specifically summer of 1969 with the Apollo landing. So the family is going to be gathered around the TV to kind of experience this moment in history together. John's going to be in the main area taking us through the latest electronics at the time. That's going to include a new house phone with an extra long cord so that he can talk throughout the house. So interesting to pull in a historical significance there. Next, we're going to go to Halloween 1985. And this is a big change too, because this is going to be the first time that it's not John in the center room, but instead it's actually going to be Sarah. And Sarah's going to take us through, again, the latest and greatest in home electronics, whereas John's actually going to be in one of the side scenes. He's going to be on the front porch handing out candy to trick-or-treaters. We're also going to get our Uncle Orville moment here. He's going to be in the tub again. This time we're going to be using the clapper as his gimmick, so that's good to see that he's going to be coming back. There's some classic Uncle Orville jokes that you just can't lose. Scene 3, we're going to be going to New Year's Eve of the new millennium, so New Year's Eve 1999, and we're going to be bringing in the new millennium together. Again, they're going to bring back kind of a classic gag here, which is that Grandma is going to be watching TV with Grandpa, who has fallen asleep before the end of the new year, and Grandma switches it over to some wrestling. So we're going to have that classic callback as well. And for the last scene, we're going to move away from our 1990s smart home, and we're going to move the family into a far future space environment. So this is going to be based around original concept art by legendary Imagineer John Hench, and it's going to have the family off-world. There's going to be a new robot assistant. What I would love to see here is that, like, if you remember, Horizons has always been a kind of a sequel to the Carousel of Progress. So I would love to see some Horizon callbacks in here. We already have them off-world in their space environment with their robot assistants from that attraction. If they could bring some of that kind of look and concept back into this, I would love to see that for that final scene. So overall, this is the hugest change that's ever happened to the Carousel of Progress. So the concept was, when this originally was created, the original Carousel of Progress, they went back, this was in the 60s, and they went back approximately 60 years to the turn of the century. So the idea here is, since we're doing a full redo, again, we go back 60 years from today's date as our starting point, which brings us back to the 1960s. So that's kind of the concept of, if we're doing a refresh, do it from, if they were to make it today, how far back would you go? What would you want to show? So I totally understand the concept here. Here are my concerns with this redo. You're going to lose a lot of your classic Disney fan base, right? This is a staple. This is a Walt Disney original. His name is all over this. If you have been on the attraction, you see kind of the show that they're putting on outside while you wait for the attraction. They really drill home that this is Walt Disney's pet project, that this is from his heart and soul. So to have it change so dramatically is a tough pill to swallow. I totally understand that, and I feel it myself. The other thing to keep in mind here too is that, yes, it's going to make it a little bit more relevant. Again, we're still following the family through history, but I don't know that it's going to give them the draw that they need to get out of this attraction. So I'm aware that going on this attraction recently, like, it is a mostly empty theater a lot of the time, right? Like maybe a quarter to half full when you're going on this attraction. So there's definitely not drawing in the crowds. However, I don't think it will, even with the redo, right? It's still a long, slow theater show. It's great if you want to cool off in the afternoon, but it's never going to be a huge draw to the bulk of the crowds who are going to Tron and Space Mountain and all these new updates. This is still a slow-moving, animatronic-driven show, and I just don't think it will draw in those crowds, even with these changes. You'll get kind of the initial draw when everybody wants to see the new versions, but you won't get that replayability that you want to go back on this attraction over and over again. But then you're also going to lose that fan base that go on it because it is Walt Disney's baby, right? This classic callback to his time. So I'm concerned with this one that they're making changes to try and appease a new crowd that I still don't think will be interested, at the risk of losing their existing fan base. In my personal opinion, what I would have done was add in the Disney Animatronic. I think that's a great idea. That opening scene really had not much to it. Totally makes sense to do there. Obviously, the ending scene, that is the one that continuously needs updating if it's supposed to be the family in the future. But I think I would have left the scenes in between as they are. Now, I know that you would still need to re-record. If you're adding a new scene at the end, obviously you're going to have a new voice cast. So you would still need to re-record those original scenes. But personally, I think that would have been enough to draw in the new people to see the new scenes, see the Walt Disney Animatronic, but still keep that fan base and that callback to Walt Disney intact. So obviously I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. It seems like the way they talk about it, the Imagineers that they're putting on this are fans of the Carousel of Progress, know what it means to the fan base, and hopefully will deliver something that rings true and brings that personality that it has to the forefront and keeps that going. So Disney is capable of amazing things, and I hope that they do an amazing job of this one. I'm usually on board. I totally understand when you need to drive attendance. I just don't know if this one was the right choice this time around, but we will see how it goes. I expect it to be a little bit more like the Zootopia overlay for the Tree of Life, right? When it first opened, obviously you had that kind of burst of attendance on your previews, your first couple weeks, but then it seemed to drop back down. So I don't know if this is going to be a similar case where you'll get that initial draw, but you're not going to get the long-term benefits of this one. So obviously that was the big news update for this week. Next week, we're going to dig a bit more into the Universal side of things, looking at the new park that they're opening up, as well as any new information that has come out about Halloween Horror Nights. So with that, thank you for joining me. Again, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button, and we will see you next time.